UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov takes place this Saturday in Abu Dhabi, obviously. This is a pretty damn stacked card for a fight night. It's absolutely phenomenal. We've got your entire full card breakdown coming up. We're going to dabble with the betting with DS. I know you guys like that. We're going to give you our picks, so stay right here.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm your boy DS, and I'm here with my guy Dino Bam Bam.
DS, what is going on, brother?
Shit. You know, we are here. As you might know, we're in Abu Dhabi. No, we're not actually in Abu Dhabi, but this fight card is in Abu Dhabi. Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. Yet another one of the Nurmagomedovs.
The Abus.
We're in Abu Dhabi. But anyways, how you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling all right. I know you're a little on the tired side. I am on the wired side. I've been drinking coffee all day. We got our
I don't know how you do that
basketball
shit, bro.
jerseys in, Dino. The basketball jerseys are in for the rec league. Think about these. Fresh, not fresh?
Clean.
You know, we got
What
those
does it
going.
say?
The money team. You already know that. So
Yeah, I already know, brother.
we got those popping off. Speaking of merch, we're getting to our merch really soon. We got to get those
Yup.
going.
Yup.
10-7 official merch. Find it on the Instagram when you go there and like and subscribe and follow and all that. We're
How's that spelled? How's that spelled?
It's spelled the same exact way as it's spelled on this very channel and on the bottom ticker right there. Do you know? I like how we kind of organically went into that. But yes, follow, like, subscribe, comment, all the shit that makes the algorithm go crazy. Do that for us. Help your boys out. We've been doing this shit for a long time. We're trying to fucking move up. And we're out here in Abu Dhabi just sweating our asses off for you guys. Watching film on a bunch of guys with complicated ass last names. Cut us some slack,
So
you know?
many.
Help us out.
So many of those guys. And yeah, check out our Instagram. You'll see Dino just getting the fuck into it with people in the comment sections more often than not for no reason.
That's what I like to do. I had the
You sure
O'Malley meat riders getting really upset yesterday.
You really did. All right, back to the card. Let's not waste any more time. I got heartburn like a motherfucker, bro. God damn. That Chipotle fucking fighting me from the inside, brother.
It'd be like that.
It really do be like that. And with that being said, one other thing that do be like that is this first fight of the night. And it is Cedric Dumas. He's taking on Denis Tiuliulin. This, of course, is at 185. Dino Bam Bam, give me your prediction on this one.
Thank you so much, Dino. Let's start with SD Dumas. I mean, he's from Chicago, right? So we saw Chicago last weekend, 1-1 in the co-main and main event out in London. So shout out Bilal Muhammad being a champion from Chicago. We got SD Dumas born in Chicago, but reps Florida, Dino. So I don't really like that. If you're from here, I want you to rep here because this is the best city in the world, in my humble opinion. But anyways, this fight is really goddamn low level. I mean, it's two guys that are just not really that good, man. A guy in Denis Tiuliulin who I don't think belongs in the UFC, and a guy in SD Dumas who has shown that he might belong here, but at the lowest levels of the organization, man. He's 2-2, so I guess he has a couple wins here. Like, you know, the only win for Denis Tiuliulin is Jamie Pickett, who obviously also didn't belong in the UFC. It's just a tough fight to break down. Two guys that are not that good, but I got to go with the guy that probably pops a little more, and that's SD Dumas. We know he has some power. We've seen him show that a little bit in the UFC, more so before that in Masvidal's Icon League. I'm not betting this one. I'm not touching it at all, but SD Dumas by knockout, it's too low level to even give like a real breakdown to.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much fully agree with you. It's really pick your poison here. I'm not a big fan of either guy, but I mean, Denis Tiuliulin, man, 10-9. He's lost 4 of his 5 UFC fights, I believe. Yeah, 4 of his 5 UFC fights. I mean, they weren't to bad competition. You know, Christian Leroy Duncan, dangerous striker, Gregory Rodriguez. We just saw some of these guys in action too. Actually, all these guys, we just saw them in action because they're all kind of on the same schedule. So, but he's been getting knocked out. You know, lost to Jin Young Park. Like you said, the only win is to Jamie Pickett, who is himself, obviously, you know, not a high-level fighter whatsoever. yeah, for me, the length of Dumas, I think, is just going to be a little bit too tough for Denis Tiuliulin to handle. He's 10-9. You know, certainly I could see this going anyway, but I'm pretty confident SD Dumas here. I think we might see like a late round submission, to be honest. I think we might see like a either late second round or like early third round kind of submission for SD Dumas. Denis Tiuliulin's ground game is pretty pitiful, and his cardio is probably even worse. So, yeah, I'm taking SD Dumas to win by submission.
And my bad, I don't know what round I said, but I meant to say round 2 knockout for SD Dumas. Yeah, just a low-level fight. And to be honest, you know, we kind of start this card for the most part. There's some good fights, like the next one solid, but we start it mostly low-level, and then it gets pretty good. So stick around to watch that, guys, because we got some bangers later on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get to the next fight. I don't know that I feel like it's a super high-level fight, but we're talking about Jai Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's not like Rolando Bedoya. He's not bad. It's just, to me, like, I'm just never a fan of his game. I don't know. I never believed in him from the get-go. He doesn't really have an appealing look. He looks kind of goofy. The chin physically is, like, small, weirdly enough. Jai Herbert, you know, I know you posted a Jai Herbert meme on Instagram, basically, so go check that out if you haven't. Jai Herbert, dangerous striker. I mean, we saw him wobble Ilya Topuria not that long ago, right? That being said, what's his name? Rolando Bedoya came in last time on short notice, fought Chaos Williams. No, I'm sorry, not last time, but he would look pretty impressive in the Chaos Williams fight. And I was like, man, maybe I'm wrong on this guy. And then since then has just simply not looked very impressive, right? The Chaos Williams fight, split decision. Last time against Kenan Song looked really, really bad to me. So Jai Herbert, he's got 2 inches of reach. He's got about 2 inches of height on him. I actually thought the reach was a little bit, even a little bit more of an advantage. Rolando Bedoya, he's just kind of awkward, right? I think maybe that's the only reason he gives any sort of problems. For me, Jai Herbert should be able to take care of business on the feet here pretty convincingly, quite frankly. I just don't think that Rolando Bedoya's striking is on the level of Jai Herbert. What's his name? Jai Herbert also has fought better competition. He's been in the game longer. Yeah, I'm going to take Jai Herbert. I think it'll be by decision. I could see a knockout, but I'm going to take Jai Herbert by decision here.
Yeah, Dino, I'm 1,000,000,000% with you on this one. Exactly what you said. Just to reiterate a little bit, Jai Herbert, a powerful striker. He's long-bodied. He's got the height advantage, the reach advantage, the strength, the schedule, the experience. He's got all that going for him against the guy that's 0-2 in Rolando Bedoya. And yes, Rolando Bedoya has shown that he is tough. He is very, very tough to finish, right? I mean, fighting Chaos Williams and then last time out fighting Kenan Song, those are two guys with some serious power, and they weren't able to put him away. So that is impressive. But yeah, besides that, I just don't see too much in the kid, especially versus a guy in Jai Herbert who I think is a little underrated, man. So I think Herbert puts a pace on him, hurts him, doesn't find the finish, and just kind of beats him up for 3 rounds. So I'm going 30-27, Jai Herbert. Do we know if he's Indian? He kind of looks like he's Indian in the face.
He does.
Yeah, right?
He does. It's very possible, I feel like.
Probably. Shout out India.
Anyway, moving on to the next fight. We've got our first women's fight of the night. It's Victoria Dudikova. She's taking on Sam Hughes. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, man, more people with weird-ass records. Sam Hughes, 8-6, 3-5 in the UFC, Dino. Her wins over Estela Nunes, Elise Reed, and Jacqueline Amorim, those are okay. Last time out, she lost to Yasmin Haragui back in February. Victoria Dudikova, an undefeated grappler with some overall solid striking, man. She doesn't seem to me, Dino, like she's going to be like super legit, like a top 5 contender or ever contending for a title. But I got to assume, she's legit enough to beat a girl like Sam Hughes, man. Sam Hughes hasn't really shown me anything as of late to pick her over a young, undefeated girl. Dudikova's 25 years old. That does worry me a little bit. I could see her making, like a young, dumb, and full of cum kind of decision and, making a mistake and just losing to Elise Reed. To Sam Hughes. I just don't see it, man. Victoria Dudikova should win this one. I'm fairly confident in her by decision.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you, man. I'm going to have to disagree with you. maybe it's my bias. I just don't like this girl. There's a lot of fighters I just simply don't like on this card.
Yeah.
I'm not realizing.
And
But
that's cool.
yeah, I'm just not a fan of hers. I don't think she's that good. She's kind of cute, and I think that's why, she's here. And obviously she is undefeated, even though she's fought cans. That's fine. Sam Hughes has fought, without a doubt, the better competition here. I think it's kind of crazy that she's this heavily favored, minus 190. I'll slap a little bit on Sam Hughes all day at those odds, to be quite honest with you here. Dudakova, fluke win in her first fight. Nunes dislocated her elbow or like broke her arm or something in that fight, if I recall correctly. And then she beat up on an aging and not very good Jin Yu Fry. Not very impressive to me, whatsoever. She's had some issues with weight cuts. I don't like her striking at all, but it's not like Sam Hughes is some crazy striker. I actually think Sam Hughes will get the better of her on the ground and in the wrestling.
Yeah.
And be able to use some of her veteran experience and end up with a decision victory here.
Yeah, so you're picking her for the reasons that I think she could win this fight, right? Like, it is the fact that she is the veteran, the more experience, and that Victoria Dudakova, being so young, can make mistakes. I just want to clarify. I don't want it to come off as like I'm like Victoria Dudakova, she's next, bro, to the top. That's not what I think at all. I just think that, at this point, the UFC is going to try to protect her, give her a couple more wins. Because like you said, she is a pretty attractive looking girl. Get her a couple more wins, and that's somebody that is marketable at that point. I just think she has enough to win this one, but I could totally see her losing. I'm not betting this one, even though I am comfortable she wins it. It's women's MMA after all.
Yeah, did you see on that note? Did you see Dana's face after Bilal won? When he's standing behind him in the octagon?
Did you see the post-fight press conference?
Yeah, I watched the entire thing. Yeah,
jeez, dude. He was fucking furious. I get it.
He was livid. 7 straight decisions, and then you got Bilal as champ, and the whole Makaev situation. Apparently, Makaev basically was trying to pretending to want to get a photo.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this? Trying to get a photo with Cap, and then ended up punching him in the face, and these guys jumped him. Fucking loser, dude.
And he literally, when he said it in the post-fight press conference, he said it with no shame. He was like, yeah, he was threatening me back in America. So when I saw him here, I was like, hey, let's take a picture. And I tricked him and hit him. It's that's not a tough thing to do, my guy. That's a bitch ass move. But shout out Muhammad Makaev. He's going to probably go enjoy Cage Warriors or one or something. And that'll be nice for him. We're going to get Makaev. We're going to get Makaev versus Mighty Mouse. Watch. For no fucking reason.
Oh my God. Whatever. Good riddance. He was boring as shit anyways. Let's move on. Next fight of the night. We've got Guram Kutaledze. He is taking on Jordan Vucinic, who looks very, 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 very English with the haircut and the tattoos and all that. He looks, you know what I mean? He looks like one of those fellas. But I have to assume he's probably Serbian or Croatian. Serbian, I would imagine, right?
You would know, brother. More your alley than mine.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, this is obviously a short notice fight for Jordan Vucinic. He is doing the UFC a favor. He's stepping in here. He comes in, pretty highly touted. He's the Cage Warriors champion. Most of his wins have been coming by submission, so he's a really good grappler. He's got a really strong jiu-jitsu game, which is an interesting matchup versus Guram, right? Because I expect Guram to, I know the wrestling and the grappling for Vucinic has been pretty good in the minor leagues, right, at Cage Warriors. Now, is that going to translate to the UFC level versus a good grappler like Guram, right? I don't know, man. I don't think so. I'm still leaning. It's not as clear-cut as you would think, right? We have seen Guram, bro, how the hell did this guy beat Mateusz Gamrot?
Yeah.
He beat Gamrot, and it was a split decision, but super impressive. And then he came in and lost to Damir Ismagulov, lost to Elves Brenner, which he was beating the shit out of Elves Brenner, and then just gassed out and ended up getting fucked up. But so Guram is a guy that it's kind of tough to know what you're getting in him, right? Which Guram are you getting? Has he been training seriously, right? Where's his head at, right? Because he's come out kind of inconsistently at times. So I think he should win this. I believe he's got the skills to do so. I'm not impressed by Jordan Vucenic's striking. Guram, I believe, does have the striking advantage there. I think he'll be the physically stronger guy, too. He should win this. He should win this. I'm going to say by decision. I could see it being a pretty close fight, though. Would I be surprised if Vucenic, Guram starts to gas out, Vucenic ends up getting him in a submission as he starts to tire out? I would not be that surprised. But for the time being, I'm still going to go with Guram, and I'll say by decision.
Yeah, look, Jordan's coming in with a ton of hype, man. When these guys get big at Cage Warriors, they get pretty damn big. 13-2 record, a really good, tough grappler. He's 28 years old. The kid has room to grow. 9-1 in Cage Warriors is pretty damn impressive. I know you called it the minor leagues, but Cage Warriors a pretty solid organization, as we know, man. Like they produce some really damn good fighters. Yeah, I see a lot of people picking Jordan as their underdog of the week at plus 200. Pretty decent odds if you favor him in this fight. And then, like you said, Guram Kutateladze, man.
I would sprinkle that. I think the odds start. I think they get closer as we go on further into the week and get closer to fight day. But that's not a bad idea. If you want to, sprinkle a little bit right now on Vucenic, I don't hate that at all.
I feel you. And you know what, Dino? I feel like a lot of people that are like on the inside of the MMA community, like diehard fans, people that are watching a lot of these prospects. I think a lot of people are going to bet the guy. Because Guram Kutateladze, as you mentioned, he's really frustrating, man. He's super damn inconsistent. You have him beating a guy like Mateusz Gamrot, and then, as you said, losing to Demiraz Magomedov, getting knocked out in a fight that he's winning against our boy Elves Brenner. He really looks the part, but he's so damn inconsistent. He doesn't fight very often. I think we've only seen him twice since 2020, and he's lost both of those fights. So he has the tools, but how motivated is he, right? How committed is he? Maybe the guy doesn't like fighting, and there are some fighters that are like that. You can also assume that, maybe like his boy Khamzat Chimaev, they're really good friends. Maybe he's on that tip where his immune system absolutely fucking sucks and he can't stay healthy. So it's really difficult for me to pick a guy like Guram, man, because like I said, he's so damn frustrating, but he beat Mateusz Gamrot. And if we know anything about Mateusz Gamrot, he is a relentless grappler. And I have to assume that Mateusz Gamrot is a better grappler than Jordan Vucenic.
I literally wanted to throw that in right now, too. Just want to mention that. Like, there's only really one way I see Jordan having a clear path. I mean, can he land a flash? Sure, anybody can, right? But realistically, it's the grappling probably via submission. And like exactly what you were alluding to. Like, I mean, if he fought a close grappling fight with Mateusz Gamrot, who is literally the premier chain wrestler, right? Yeah. Like in the division. So, yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good, man. So I'm just saying, yeah, exactly what you were saying. I mean, if he's able to beat Mateusz Gamrot, who is a chain wrestler, who is a wet blanket, who's a guy who's going to shoot nonstop takedowns, then, you got to assume he's going to beat a young kid coming off of Cage Warriors, man. So I'll go Guram. I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if Jordan Vucevic picks this one, or Vucevic, that's an NBA player. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wins this fight by any way, right? If he ragdolls him and gets a W, if he knocks him out and gets a W, Guram Kutateladze makes absolutely no sense. So I'm definitely not betting on him. I am picking him to win this fight. And as you said, I might sprinkle a little bit on that plus 200 for Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, and for what it's worth, though, props to the kid, taking a tough opponent on short notice. That being said, he really has nothing to lose, right?
Dino, he wins this fight, he's up there. He wins this fight, he's one fight out of the rankings, right?
It's a no risk, high reward move. Mm-hmm. As long as you don't get completely embarrassed, you really can't lose. So
agreed.
All right, moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Shamil Gaziev. He's taking on Don'Tale Mayes in our first big boy fight of the night. What do you think about this one?
Heavyweight MMA, baby, in 2024. It's absolutely fucking brutal unless you're at the tippy top and your name is John Jones or Tommy Aspinall or, Curtis Blades. It's just there's a handful of guys at the top that are good. Rest of them not so much, as you like to often point out. But look, Shamil Gaziev, man, Shamil the Blob Gaziev, as I've been seeing him called on Instagram as of late. He's not awful, man. I know he gets a bad rap for what happened last time out. He's actually a pretty good fighter. Yes, the holes in his game were on full display last time out against Jairzinho Rosenstrike. The dude has absolutely zero cardio, and it seems like he's a guy that's very down to be the hammer, but not be the nail. He was getting kind of beat up in a fight against Jairzinho, and he took his, he took the way out, right? He found an exit and he took it. So he got the fuck out of there. Just a business decision and a good business decision for him, probably, even though he's getting made fun of. Then we got another guy in Dontel Mays, who's a super, just like big dude, out of shape. Like, he's got the Louis Vuitton tattoos, and that's cool. And he's got the Gucci tattoos, and that's also cool. But that's really all he's got, right? He doesn't have the power for the heavyweight division. His hands are okay. He's got some, like, decently crisp boxing, but, like, he's not putting Shamil Gaziev out, man. He's just not doing that. So to me, this one's really simple. I'm really comfortable in the minus 275, especially with Shamil Gaziev not having to fight a 5-rounder in this one. He can kind of sprint. So give me Shamil Gaziev by knockout. I'll go early second round.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, I think second round TKO is exactly how this is going to end. Personally, Dontel May is not very good, pretty slow. Just doesn't even really fight to his size. No redeeming really quality that stands out as a fighter. Not to be disrespectful. Shamil Gaziev, he can move for his size, right? The cardio is obviously not great. We saw last time. And let's just say this too. Can we stop pushing these guys into fucking, like, stop doing that shit, okay? Just because his name ends in a V and he came in and got an impressive victory or two, stop fucking throwing these guys in main events. And I'm glad to see some of these guys, come in and get absolutely fraud checked, But in any case, Gaziev really is better everywhere. He's going to be quicker on the feet. He should be faster to the punch. Really, there's one way for Dontel Mace to win this, in my opinion. It's if he becomes the kind of the more pressure fighter. But we've literally never seen that. That's just simply not who he is. I'm going to go Shamil Gaziev second round TKO.
Yeah, pretty damn comfortable with this one, Dino. Shamil Gaziev should kind of get back on the up and up here. But yeah, they're going to give him a step up after he wins this. They need to really be cautious with what that step up is.
Yeah, like what's somebody that comes to mind that you think would be a fair step up?
I mean, I want to look at the rankings while we do that. Give me 1 second to pull those up, but just don't push him back up to the top of the division, guys, right? I know Jairzinho Rozenstruik hasn't been really the guy that he was, but if you're going to do it, give him a Nascimento, right? Like, I'm looking at 15 Nascimento, like Marcos Rogério de Lima, who I'm pretty sure has a fight booked, is at 14. Put him in that range, that like 12, that 14, 15 range. If he wins that, then you can give him a guy like Tybura if you kind of want to protect him. If you don't really want to protect him and just let him see what's up, Spivak is cool to me. So, just play it slow. It's fine.
I think he's
Heavyweight's already log jammed right now. What do we need this fucking guy in the mix for?
Yep. All right, let's move on. Next fight of the night, we've got Muhammad Yahya. He is taking on Cory Fernandez. This is such a random-ass fight, man. Is this not a random-ass fight?
I mean, yeah, but Yahya being the hometown guy, right? He's going to fight on this card. So
yeah, but yeah, and yeah, let me just put it to you this way. In my opinion, Muhammad Yahya, one of the worst fighters on the roster.
Yeah. So
point blank, personally. He's got some okay grappling, fine. My only thing here is, like, Cory Fernandez, what have we really seen from him, right? He lost to Mark Chiesa by split decision towards the end of last year. He's been out for 7-8 months at this point. Before that, he was in the LFA, and he had some pretty good fights, right? So Cory Fernandez is going to have the better striking. He's got good knockout power. We've seen him knock people out on the regional scene. We've seen him show some decent grappling himself, right? So to me, it's a very one-dimensional guy who's just simply doesn't pop on tape whatsoever in Muhammad Yahya, and he's taking on a relative question mark, right? At fighting UFC level competition. Now, I guess you could argue maybe Muhammad Yahya is not that, but I believe in Cory Fernandez from what I've seen at least because his striking should be a lot better in my opinion, where I'm going to lean with him. I'm going to say by decision. I'm not like crazy confident in this one, and it's unlikely that I would part with my money on this one either, to be honest with you. But yeah, give me Cory Fernandez by decision. Not a super high confidence pick.
I feel you, man. And yeah, I have to agree with you in some of the stuff that you said. Muhammad Yahya, just not that good. Was brought in, obviously, because they have a lot of fights in Abu Dhabi. So they want a guy from Abu. They need one on the card. They need one in the company. So here comes this guy. Obviously, he's going to have the hometown crowd, man. He's probably going to have some hometown bias in terms of the judging and the officiating if we do get to a decision. But regardless, yes, he's a grappler, but he strikes as if he's like a karate guy or like a taekwondo guy. Like, I don't get that, dude. Like, you are trash at striking, and he's out there and just like fumbling and like falling all over himself. It's not a good look. He does come out hot, but last time out, he was absolutely dominated by Trevor Peek. And for as much as all of us as MMA fans love Trevor Peek for his personality and his fight style, like, the guy's just like, he's not that high level, right? Like, he's just a tough, scrappy dude who's fun to watch. And it's like, if he's absolutely just putting it on you, man. Then you're not really like that. Cowy Fernandez, yes, as you mentioned, a little bit of a question mark, but he's the better striker to me, Dino. He's the better grappler. I mean, he's more loose on the feet. He's quicker. Seems like he has more power. He's Brazilian, so the jiu-jitsu is pretty on point. He's more dangerous. I just see way, way more ways for him to win this one. I think he does find a finish. I'm going to say second round submission after Yaya kind of slows down and, burns off that like hometown buzz, that crowd buzz that he's going to get. And he just slows down and gets subbed. That's the way I see it. Kind of comfortable with it. I might bet it. I don't know if it's a parlay piece, but I'm okay with the minus 350 on Cowy Fernandez.
Okay. I don't hate it. Moving on. Next fight of the night.
Wait, Dino. One more thing. I just want to throw this in. The bias, right? So the hometown judging and all that. I don't mind Muhammad Yahya by decision. I know I just said he's trash and terrible, but my point is if we get to the end of 3 rounds, dude, there's a damn good chance that they're like, yeah, come on, he won, right? Like, he won. So it's probably like plus 400, plus 4 something, 500. So I'm gonna sprinkle on that too. I'm gonna lose a lot of money on this fight. That's how I feel.
Moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Alonzo Menifield. He is taking on Azamat Murzakanov. What do you think about this one?
Tough fight, man. 2 pretty dangerous dudes. Alonzo Menifield, stocky, thick, fucking ball of just muscle and energy. He has the power to put literally anybody in the planet at 205 pounds out. He's a scary looking dude, Dino. It's like the sticker you have on the back of your laptop there, the Chael Sonnen meme, the I can't let you get close. That whole thing. Yeah. I would not want this dude getting fucking close to me at all. The issue with Alonzo Menifield, aside, besides being coached by Pat Barry, which is a huge fucking problem, besides that, it's his IQ, man. He's just a fucking low IQ fighter. 100%. And it was never more on display than last time out against a very dangerous Carlos Blackjack Ulberg. That is not a guy you want to fuck around with. And what did Menifield do? He absolutely just sprinted at him and got knocked out in like 10 seconds. Absolutely just mind-boggling fucking game plan by him. And then we have Murzakanov, man. Azamat Murzakanov, a guy with some good power. Not as much as Menifield, but not many do. But he does have the good power. He's also got the grappling in his back pocket, right? You see the OV at the end of his last name. You got to assume that he's got the grappling, which he does. The wrestling is there. They have a fight in common, and that's Dustin, the Hanyak Jacoby. Both dudes beat him, but Murzakanov looked a little bit better. And I know we're not supposed to do MMA math, but you do that MMA math, and then you add the fact that Menifield's coming in 3 months after getting knocked the fuck out. I don't like it at all. I feel like it's going to be very similar to the Ulberg fight, just not as fast. He's not going to sprint this time, but I think towards the end of that first round, he does get clipped doing something dumb, as he normally does, and Azamat Murzakanov pulls off a TKO.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much exactly described the notes that I have, like literally pretty much to a T. So Alonzo Menifield, always live for a knockout himself, just dumb, just really, really fucking dumb when it comes to decision making within the octagon. So can't trust a guy like that when he's going against somebody who also has knockout power, who's probably a little bit more polished too. Alonzo Menifield is the bigger guy. He's going to have the reach advantage. And, I mean, listen, this is one that I'm almost certainly not going to bet, because either one of these guys could knock the other out. They're big boys. They both got good power. I give the grappling, even though Alonzo Menifield's not a bad grappler, I give the wrestling advantage still to Azamat Murzakanov. Yeah, I agree with you. I just think eventually he's going to find Alonzo Menifield in a bad position. He's going to drop him, and then he'll end up getting the TKO victory.
And then on paper and on film, like watching this fight, you got to assume like pretty comfortably that there's no way this goes the distance. So we got to check the odds on that prop. But you know, as soon as you say that, we get like a fucking boring 3-round decision. You know what I mean? But yeah, this should not go the distance.
I really don't think so.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next fight of the night, we've got Joel Álvarez. He is taking on Elves Brenner. And we have not seen Joel Álvarez in almost a year. Before that, he was out for a year and a half. Before that, he was out for like 5 months. Fine. But it's like, what the hell, man? What the hell? I want to see more of this guy. I really like Joel Álvarez. He's fucking huge for the division. He's 6'3", right, at 155 pounds, which is nuts. So he's basically Jalen Turner size. He's taking on Elves Brenner. Elves Brenner is tough as hell, man. I mean, Mikdebek oral by. I can't say his name now without thinking about the goddamn rap that you made. But yeah,
good rap. We might drop that track one day.
We're gonna have to. We should drop it before Oral By's next fight. Realistically, yeah. This I think this has fight of the night potential all the way. Obviously, Joel Álvarez is at this point a little bit of a question mark because he's been out for so goddamn long. But whenever he does fight, Joel Álvarez is very, very exciting as a fighter. Yes, he's a bit of a weight bully, if you will. But hell, man, he still looks pretty thick too for 155. Like when it's crazy. Like I don't know how the hell he does it. He also fought Mark Chiesa, choked him out. He did get knocked out by Arman Sarukian. I mean, he's in every fight though, right? And Elves Brenner, you know, we already touched on him earlier. Has the win over Kenan Khrushchevsky, who he knocked him out real nice. And then he has obviously the comeback victory over Garam. He's tough as hell. He lost pretty one-sidedly at the end of the day, but to Mikdebek oral by. But you know, he still kind of held his own, right? You know, he wasn't like totally out of the fight. This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. I'm going to be curious to see what you have to say about it. The length of Álvarez, the striking, he's a pretty good striker. On the ground, I mean, I'll give it to Elves Brenner, right? You would think, but Joel Álvarez is also dangerous on the ground. These are two very well-rounded guys who are not afraid to scrap, not afraid to bang. The submission game of Joel Álvarez is legit, though. So, you know, I don't think that if it gets to the ground, Elves Brenner is just simply going to have like a big advantage here. You know, Joel Álvarez, especially with his length, is always live, right? And these guys are both finishers. So, man, I'm kind of surprised that Joel Álvarez is the favorite, to be honest with you. I really am. I'm leaning Joel Álvarez here, man. I'm leaning Joel Álvarez by submission in the second round, but I think this fight could really go any way. I could see a knockout either way. I could see a submission either way. I could see it going to decision. More than anything, I'm excited to watch this one, and I think it'll be this, like I said, as fight of the night potential for me.
Yeah, look, you know, a lot of people would say that Joel Álvarez is a better grappler than Elves Brenner, and like, I totally understand that. Dude has 17 subs. He is absolutely fucking filthy in the grappling, right? He's 20-3. Like I said, 17 of those wins by sub. Ridiculously dangerous if he gets you on the ground. And unlike a lot of the guys that are jiu-jitsu specialists, shout out Mackenzie Dern, who we're going to see later on in this card, he doesn't struggle to take fights to the ground. He has good takedowns, man. So that makes him really damn dangerous. One of his losses really early on in his career came against a guy with an OV at the end of his last name. A Russian guy named Ali, who's now 15-2. So probably a good fighter. I'm not going to lie. I have not seen tape on that guy. Then the other two losses came against Demiris Magomedov and Arman Sarukian. Two awesome grapplers, right? A very impressive resume. Good losses for a guy who really flies under the radar. And it's probably for the reasons that you stated. He never fucking fights. Then we have Elves Brenner, who is an absolute my boy. Friend of the channel, Elves Brenner. He hits us with the hey when we comment on his shit. So that's cool. He looked like he was headed straight to the top, Dino. Like he was hot as fuck.
He looked like he was. Him and Diego Lopez came in like almost at the same time, and they both looked like they were on the same trajectory.
Yeah, and he, to be fair, he did look awesome up until that Mikdebek oral by fight. He lost a decision in that one where he was kind of Russell fudged. And it is what it is. That's where the plus 100 in this fight comes from, right? You look at a guy like Miktabek Orobai, kind of similar body frame to Joel Alvarez, like tall dudes, big dudes for the division, grappling heavy. He was able to beat him. So why wouldn't Joel Alvarez be able to beat him? So I get the odds at where they are. However, Elves Brenner does have that power, man, and that's always the great equalizer. He can turn any fight around and end it at any moment. But Dino, I have to figure that Elves Brenner getting dominated in the grappling, being from shoot the box, is like a really embarrassing or humbling or some kind of fucking experience. And, I just feel like the guy went back to camp and absolutely has been grinding the jiu-jitsu, grinding the get-ups, grinding the takedown defense. So it is what it is, man. Call me fucking nuts. I think not only does Elves Brenner win this fight, he becomes the first person to ever finish Joel Alvarez. I'm going to go Brenner TKO round 2. That's what I'm doing.
I mean, like I said, man, I could see it playing out any which way. So, I don't hate that at all.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next fight, you just mentioned her name. We're talking about Mackenzie Dern, and she's taking on Loopy Godinez.
All right, man. Mackenzie Dern versus Loopy Godinez. What do you make of this fight? Two inconsistent girls. They're both really damn good, but they are just super inconsistent. Let's not get
Mackenzie Dern really good?
Right. Right. Well, we're going to break it down, Dino. That's the best part about this, right? So here's the thing. Let's really break it down. Two of possibly the most confusing prospects in all of MMA, especially in the women's divisions. We have Mackenzie Dern, who's an absolute jiu-jitsu wizard. She's cream of the crop. She's literally the top of the mountain, top of the food chain as far as jiu-jitsu is concerned for women. She is dangerous as hell if she's able to get the fight to the ground. She's dangerous as hell if she can get a hold of you. The problem is, as I alluded to just a few minutes ago, like a lot of jiu-jitsu players, she lacks the ability to take the fight to the ground, man. And when she can't get a fight to the ground, the girl looks absolutely lost on the feet. Like, her striking is beyond subpar. It's not UFC level. The striking is just not UFC level. Then you have Loopy Godinez, another person who's just a confusing prospect to me. A good grappler. She's got some decent striking that she's been working on. It's been getting better damn near every time we see her in the octagon. But with Loopy, you always get just like that one stinker performance, right? You never know which Loopy Godinez you're going to get. She looks tough, or she is tough. She looks really damn strong for the division. But while her striking is just okay, it's light years beyond Mackenzie Dern's, right? So both of these girls, to me, always feel like a trap when they're fighting. You're tempted to pick them, and you're definitely tempted to pick against them. I just can't trust Mackenzie Dern anymore in a fight against someone the caliber of Loopy Godinez, man. If you're not able to take Loopy Godinez down, you're not going to win this fight on the feet. She is a disaster on the feet. So I got to take Loopy by decision. And just in saying that, I'll probably be wrong because I literally never get these girls' fights correct, either one of them. So I'm going to be right, or I'm going to be wrong. I'm probably going to be wrong. So I'm going Loopy by decision. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, I mean, you broke it down. Mackenzie Dern is the specialist of specialists, right? And it's like, goddamn, like even if you stop training it for a little bit, I'm sure at this point it's like second nature. Bitch, just work on your boxing, please, for the love of God. Loopy Godinez is much better on the feet, but it's not like she has some crazy power. That's the thing to me. It's like Mackenzie Dern has gotten her ass kicked recently, but it's by fighters who actually had some power on the feet, That being said, it's still going to be a big discrepancy on the feet. Excuse me. If she does get it to the ground, then obviously it's a totally different ball game. But when you're that specialized, what do you think Loopy Godinez has been practicing, right? In camp this whole time, right? Her takedown defense is going to be on point. Mackenzie Dern maybe gets the fight down at some point, but I feel like when she does, it tends to be towards the latter parts of the round for whatever reason. Maybe, people let their foot off the gas a little bit. But you pretty much broke it down, man. I got to fully agree with you. I'm taking Loopy by decision. I'm not particularly high confidence in it because, like you said, Loopy on paper, much more versatile, much more well-rounded. But if she ends up on the ground, things could change. Both of them have been a little bit inconsistent. But Mackenzie Dern, man, what has she really shown us lately? When's the last time she looked impressive? How the hell did she beat Vera is what I want to know.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much that. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, I gotta do this thing. Boom, we're there.
And this is just an interesting fight, isn't it? Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. You've got a 40-and-a-half-year-old Tony Ferguson, should have retired probably 3 years ago at this point. You've got a 30, almost 7-year-old Michael Chiesa. Between them two, you have a combined straight 10 losses. Okay. So, you know, in their heyday, obviously we know Tony Ferguson, he was really good. Michael Chiesa, more of kind of a jiu-jitsu specialist kind of guy, right? But at this point, it's really just two washed up old fucking guys, right? And Michael Chiesa, you got to pick him. I mean, minus 410 is fucking crazy, in my opinion. Less so about Tony Ferguson, just like Michael Chiesa should not in 2024 be favored minus 410 over anybody, probably. Tony's weird on the ground. You know, Michael Chiesa has a big advantage on the ground. I can't in my right mind pick Tony, man. Like, who you cannot pick Tony. I don't think you can pick Tony ever again in any fight. So, Tony, please fucking retire. Every single goddamn time that we break down one of his fights, it's like, please, we're begging this guy to retire. He doesn't look good. I saw a picture recently of it was like him in 2019 and him today. He looks like he's aged like 10 years.
Yeah.
I hope he's like okay. We don't know what's like going on with him, at home and shit. But yeah, can't in my right mind pick Tony Ferguson. I'm going Chiesa. I'm gonna go by decision. Tony Ferguson is, if nothing else at this point, really fucking tough. I don't see Chiesa knocking him out. That's for sure.
Yeah, Dino. I mean, look, I guess let's break it down for whatever reason. But Mike Chiesa, like you said, obviously not the fighter that he used to be, man. 3 losses in a row. Kevin Holland, Sean Brady, Vicente Luque. Pretty good competition. But he hasn't really looked decent since his Neil Magny fight. Like you said, he's 36 years old. You probably have to cut the guy some slack. He is getting up there. You can't expect him to be the dangerous Mike Chiesa that he once was. And that's fair, man. And then you got Tony El Cucuy Ferguson, just literally probably the most tragic story of the UFC, how the mighty have fallen. Like, we don't even need to break down Tony here. He is on a 7-fight win streak or a losing streak? I'm sorry. Is that correct? 7. The UFC record is 7. If he loses this, he breaks the record and he's going to have the longest losing streak in UFC history, man. Now, you juxtapose that with Tony Ferguson at the start of 2020, when a lot of new fans came into this sport during the global pandemic. But when we got into that, Tony Ferguson was on a 10-fight win streak, right? And he lost to Justin Gaethje and hasn't won since then, obviously. But it's just so wild that there is people that have been watching this sport now for 4 years religiously, every single damn card, and they've never seen Tony Ferguson win, and it's been damn near half a decade at this point. It is absolutely crazy. Look, this fight, loser goes home. That's just what it has to be. If it's Mike Chiesa, if he loses this fight, he gets cut. He probably loses his desk analyst job, and that's not a good look. If Tony loses, he's going to get cut from the UFC. He's probably going to go get more brain damage in boxing, which will be fucking terrible. I'm going Mike Chiesa by submission. I just pray that Tony taps this time. I don't want to see him sleeping or with something broken. But I have to throw it in there. If Tony Ferguson wins this fight, if somehow Tony Ferguson wins this fight, I'm popping a champagne bottle. The smiles on the faces of the entire MMA community around the world, except oddly enough in the area of the world that they're going to be fighting in, because those guys don't like Tony. Everyone's just going to be so
like smiling, for that matter.
What is it? Or smiling.
They don't love smiling either.
But yeah, if Tony wins, they're not known for that. Let's say that. But look, if Tony wins it, man, everybody's going to be so damn happy for him. I am definitely rooting for Tony Ferguson, even though I like Mike Chiesa, and I don't think there's MMA fans that really hate Mike Chiesa. But you might see some tears of joy on some people if Tony wins it. I just do not expect it, and I really hate this fight. And thank God we don't have Nick Diaz fighting on this card, because that would have been just another disaster to have to deal with back-to-back.
It's the CT Olympics, basically.
Shout out the Olympics that are going on. Simone Biles. How about her?
Shout out the U.S. women's gymnastics team.
Come on now.
All right, let's move on. Next fight of the night is Cheeto Marlon Vera. He is taking on Deiveson Figueiredo.
Figueiredo.
Your boy.
Come on now.
Am I doing this? You, right?
This is me. Yeah. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it, Dino. Hold on. I want to switch this thing at the bottom. It's been stuck on follow us on IG at TikTok this whole time. Do that, obviously. It's been telling you to do that for like 30-something minutes. Also, do this thing. Like and subscribe. That would really help us, and we would appreciate that. Anyways, let's get back to this fight. We got Marlon Chito Vera taking on my boy, Deus de Guerra, Deiveson Figueiredo, as I like to call him. I'm not mincing words or fucking playing around with this one, Dino. You know I'm taking Figgy, and I'm pretty comfortable in taking Figgy in this one. We got Chito Vera, who never really belonged at the top of the division. Yes, he's coming off of a title shot against Sugar Sean O'Malley, but that was for so many damn reasons. Number one, the history that he had with Sean O'Malley, being the only person to hold a win over him. Second reason, to give Sean O'Malley a free title shot. We know the UFC likes to do that, and it obviously benefits them to see Sugar Sean winning. Now, Chito Vera is a notoriously slow starter, Dino. He only wins when he can find a big shot that either steals moments, steals rounds, or finishes the fight, right? Sometimes it is that KO blow, but he's not an elite level fighter. He's tough as hell. He's dangerous at times, but if you can avoid the moments against Chito Vera, which Sean O'Malley really did a phenomenal job on, by the way. Just got to let you know, after rewatching that fight, which I knew in the moment, but my goodness, what a masterclass by Sean O'Malley that fight was. If you can avoid the big moments from Chito Vera, you should win that fight, especially if you're a top-level elite fighter. Now, with Deiveson Figueiredo, you obviously do have some worries, right? He's the shorter fighter, and that's never a good thing, especially when you're facing a guy who's known to be a sniper. And while Deiveson Figueiredo has always been big for 125 pounds, he's not necessarily a big 135er. He's also been susceptible to getting dropped here and there, and Chito has to do that to win this fight. On the positive side for Figgy here, Dino, he's done things that Chito has done, but he's done them at a higher level, right? Let's not forget that third Brandon Moreno fight, a fight where Deiveson Figueiredo was losing the vast majority of the 25 minutes that fight went on. But what did he do? He did the Chito Vera and won big moments against Brandon Moreno, who I also think is a better fighter, especially at that point, than Marlon Chito Vera is. So Figgy's smart on the feet, man, and we see him at 135, and he's like almost more cerebral, right? He's more calculated. He doesn't want to take as many risks. We saw that against Cody Garbrandt at UFC 300. He almost immediately went to the grappling, but he wasn't afraid to kind of exchange with Cody. If this fight goes to the ground, Figgy to me is light years beyond Chito. I see Figgy winning the first two rounds, the first one being a little close, kind of pulling away in the second, and maybe starting to slow down and take some damage from Chito, who's finally warming up and into the fight in that third round. Little too late, too little, too late for a guy who does his best work in 5-round fights. Marlon Vera, like a very, very, very poor man's Peter Yan in that aspect, right? He just starts really slow and it's just like doesn't get going till the end. But I got to trust Figgy in this one. Figgy by decision.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much broke it down perfectly. I fully agree with you. I think if one thing's guaranteed, it's that this fight is going to decision.
Okay. You don't think Figgy could sub him?
Sorry, I was struggling.
You dying over there? You okay? Do we need to call the amber lamps?
I just think my heartburn just killed me. I just think Figgy is not the easiest guy to finish. I'm sorry, Marlon Vera is not the easiest guy to finish. Neither one of these guys is easy to finish, right? They're both kind of fighters who try to stay safe.
I'm not easy to finish, is what my girl says.
Anyway, that's fire though. I feel that. Yeah, Marlon Vera, we saw him take a vicious knee from Sean O'Malley and didn't go down, right? So
that was crazy. Hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta cut you off. Did you see the UFC? Like they always post this thing on YouTube now where it's like the pay-per-views, but they like post some of the fights with no commentary, and it's just the sound.
The sound was like isolated. Yeah, it's fucking nuts, dude.
And Sean O'Malley just it sounds like me hitting a softball. You know what I mean?
My brother, it sounds like fucking Sammy Sosa hitting absolute fucking piss missiles like at the home run derby. Like,
shout out Listeroid Hack Daddy the Fifth.
Absolutely. So yeah, both these guys are pretty tough to finish. I mean, if Marlon Vera is going to win it, I think he's going to have to knock Figgy out. I don't see him. I mean, he just comes out fucking slow, man. You said it. He comes out every single time. That's part of his game. He's cerebral. He's defensive, right? Like you said. It's a 3-round fight, and Figgy comes out swinging. He's going to come out swinging. I do think he'll be a little bit more apprehensive than he has been at flyweight, like you said. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is going to decision, and I got to lean with Figgy. You know, two guys who are really tough to finish. I could see this being kind of a low output fight, to be quite honest with you.
And yeah, I can see that too, Dino. I just got to imagine Figgy's going to be fixing in the, working in the takedowns, working with Captain Eric. We saw it against Cody Garbrandt. It's not like he wanted nothing to do on the feet with Cody. He seemed pretty comfortable, but it was definitely like a different Deiveson Figueiredo, and where he wanted to work the grappling, as opposed to the Deiveson Figueiredo, the really dangerous Figgy when he was champ and on that whole run. He would go to the ground, but it was kind of like when the fight dictated, it goes there. Now he's dictating taking it to the ground. It seems like he wants to work that in. So I really hope that is in the game plan this week for him.
Yeah. And even if he does, I don't really see him holding Cheeto down, though. You know what I mean?
I think so. I think he would.
You think he would?
Yeah. Well, Cheeto's nothing on the ground.
No, but I just don't think Figgy's big enough for the weight class.
Hey, brother, you don't got to be that big to just choke him out. You know what I mean?
I feel that.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
All right, co-main event of the evening. We've got Shara Magomedov. He is fighting Michał Oleksiejczuk. Bro, didn't Michał Oleksiejczuk just get his arm fucking broken?
That's what I'm saying. That's literally my biggest thing. It's like, dude, I was like, am I tripping? That fight was in June. It was in June.
I was going to say, wasn't that like a month and a half ago? Like,
it was literally 2 months ago. It was like June 1st. I think it was on the Islam card, but like the Islam versus Poirier pay-per-view.
Okay, so bro got his cast taken off like yesterday?
And he's like, let's go.
Let's get to it type shit.
Well, it's time to get paid.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get that. Listen, we know Shara Magomedov. He has one eye. He looks like a murderer. He's scary and tough. He's the home fighter, home field advantage, if you will. Michał Oleksiejczuk is a good striker, right? But Michał Oleksiejczuk literally has absolutely no ground game, maybe the worst ground game in the entire division. Shara Magomedov is not a bad offensive wrestler, but if you can challenge him with your own wrestling and grappling, he kind of folds. His cardio is also not great. Also, I deadass think the eye is like, it affects him. I don't think he's like, you know what I mean? I think there's shit that he doesn't see, right? So I'll tell you this, man. I could see a knockout going either way in this one. My only issue is that Michał Oleksiejczuk is like pretty basic. He's got the basics down very well, but none of his striking is like crazy impressive or anything like that. He's game to strike, and I do expect this to be a striking match. I think if Shara Magomedov wants to win this pretty easily, he should try to get this to the ground and, land some good ground and pound and get a finish there. Maybe even target that arm if you need to, right? I mean, that thing is, bro, it has not calloused yet. If that bitch was broken, and it sure fucking looked broken to me, there's no way that's like 100% healed. That's absolutely wild to me. Yeah, we'll see. I think Shara Magomedov is going to be able to work the kicks, maintain a little bit more distance. And I could see a knockout either way. I kind of see this going to decision, quite honestly with you. And if it's going to go to decision, I expect it to be close. I think Shara Magomedov is still overall the better striker. He's got better kicks. He'll have the crowd behind him. If it's close at all and it goes to decision, it's definitely going to Shara Magomedov. Am I going to bet this? I don't know, man. Shara Magomedov, I'm not that impressed. I know they're really trying to push him. I think it's just because he's got that kind of scary-ass look and he's got the one eye and, whatever. I'm really not that impressed. I don't think he's going to be something crazy in this division. I think he's pretty one-dimensional, and I think he's got some pretty gaping flaws. I don't mind the plus 220 on Michał Oleksiejczuk, but I'm going to go with Shara Magomedov here. I could see a knockout, but for some reason, something's telling me to go decision.
All right, Dino, look, I mostly agree with you, man. Shara Magomedov is my pick as well. I'm going late TKO, but here's the thing. If Michał Oleksiejczuk wasn't hurt and wasn't like devastatingly hurt not that long ago, I would pick him. That's how close this fight is to me. I'm not sold on Shara Bullet, man. Again, I get the hype. It makes sense, right? Like you said, he's scary looking. He's got the one eye. He's got the last name that makes sense. He's Dagestani. He checks like a bunch of boxes that the UFC would want to check in pushing a guy. So I get it. I totally understand the guy, but holy shit, he looked like not good last time out. Like, yes, he's a good striker and he's a one-dimensional guy, but like he's not even that good of a striker. He's got power, but like, does he seem all that? Like against Tricoli, like what was that? You know what I mean? Like that's a guy that is not high level. That's a guy that's not UFC level, and you struggled and essentially, I mean, not essentially, you cheated at the end of that fight to, before that finishing sequence. Like, who knows how that fight goes if Tricoli lands on top of him with a couple minutes left. So, look, I think Shara Magomedov is going to get this fight, Dino. I think he gets this win. And I do think he's going to target the arm. I think he's going to throw a lot of head kicks to kind of get Oleksiejczuk blocking and kicking that arm.
Dude, he can literally throw kicks to the arm. Like, that's not a bad idea.
That's what I'm saying. And I think he's going to do a lot of that. He hasn't been like really tested yet. And I don't know that this is the fight that's going to do it again because of the injury and because of, I just can't imagine Oleksiejczuk is like in the right mindset. I saw a thing online. I'm not sure how real it was where he goes, I lose this fight, I'm retiring. So,
no, bro, that's like the main point I wanted to make. And I forgot to mention it. How can I possibly pick a fighter who's not picking himself?
Right. So,
he literally said, somebody commented like, well, but what are you gonna do any other, like, well, I forgot. They asked him some shit and he said, if I lose, and I probably will, I'm done with fight. I'm done with sports.
Right. So to me, that's nuts. The question mark here in this one, Dino, is what is Shara Magomedov's ceiling, right? And I think I said it last time out. We're not going to find out in this Tricoli fight. And Tricoli gave us more of a fight than we thought we would get, and we learned a little more about Shara Magomedov than we thought we would. Maybe that happens again here. But, yeah, he's not going to be a guy that's going to – I don't think he touches the rankings, to be honest with you. I just don't buy it. Maybe I'm wrong. I just want to know.
They might force him there, bro. They might give him a ranking after this fight.
They might. I think he loses to the vast majority of the guys, a vast majority of those guys. I just want to know when this hype train falls off the rails. But I guess we'll see. I guess we shall see.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Main event of the evening. Cory Sandhagen. He's taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. Give me your take on this one.
That's the name you're supposed to say like that. The Umar.
I know.
You said on Cory.
Umar.
Anyways, so some good underdogs on this card, right? And then you come here and you see plus 200 on Cory Sandhagen, and almost immediately that makes me want to just empty out my wallet. But before we do that, we got to get into the breakdown. Cory Sandhagen, a long-bodied, dynamic striker. A lot of people in the industry, a lot of people in the UFC will say he is the best striker in all of MMA. I've heard a lot of UFC fighters also say that he's the smartest fighter in all of MMA. And in my opinion, he's one of the most exciting fighters you'll get to watch in probably the most exciting division in all of MMA. Cory Sandhagen is damn fucking good. The question mark with Cory Sandhagen is going to be the grappling. But last time out against Fabrant, as Sugar Sean O'Malley would say, Sandhagen showed that he's partially Dagestani, and he absolutely wrestle-fudged Rob Font in that one. So some improved wrestling. I got to assume, with two camps going down now for Umar Nurmagomedov, he's probably been working a ton on that grappling. Then we talk about his opponent, Umar Nurmagomedov, a very exciting, undefeated prospect. He has the last name that puts fear into a lot of fighters, into a lot of fighters' souls before they even step into the cage with them. So like the other Nurmagomedovs, he has really good grappling. Obviously, it's elite. But unlike most of them, he has some really good striking, man. Sharp striking, nice, really whippy kicks that I always like to mention when we talk about him. And he seems to have really good power on those kicks. He's really dangerous, but this is a massive, massive step up in competition for him here. So both guys were promised title shots at the, after winning this fight. Now, if Sandhagen can stay on the feet, at least for the first 2 rounds of this fight, Dino, he should be able to coast in this one. Umar has shown that he's hittable, he's droppable, and he has shown a lackluster gas tank. But on the other hand, Cory Sandhagen has shown really mediocre takedown defense. If Umar shoots enough, he's going to eventually take him down. And you got to wonder what that looks like. So we're so used to seeing Cory Sandhagen in wars. I don't know that this fight plays out that way. There's a couple potential outcomes for this fight that I could see. If it goes 5 rounds, Umar Nurmagomedov is winning this fight. Let's not pretend that the judging and officiating will be fair in this one. If it goes 5, Umar wins it. If it goes to the ground, Umar probably wins it. If it stays on the feet, you got to assume Sandhagen gets the best of him. Facing a young, hungry, undefeated guy who's going to have the hometown crowd, a referee that's probably, that they're in his pockets, judging that they're in his pockets, who's the judges are going to control. They're going to favor the control time of Umar Nurmagomedov over anything that Cory Sandhagen does. So to me, Dino, that's not fair, but that's the world we live in. I think Umar by decision has to be the pick in this one.
100% agree. You again said that last point that you made is exactly what I was going to lead with. And I mean, that pretty much sums it up for me is, first of all, if you know anything about how, say what you will about the Dagestanis, right? One thing that they don't do is underestimate their opponents, right? Khabib, especially when he trains his fighter, how seriously he even respects and takes guys like Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, when he's fighting, when Islam's fighting him, right? So believe me, they are not in any way overlooking Cory Sandhagen, and they know how good Cory Sandhagen is. And my God, is he unbelievable. Dude, Cory Sandhagen's so fucking good. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite fighters. He's unbelievable. Maybe the most, he's so well-rounded. He's unbelievable. He's got great power, lanky frame, long frame, throws all kinds of crazy shit too, but it lands. He's a damn sniper. Talk about cerebral. Here's a cerebral fighter for you. But at the end of the day, I just have this feeling that I don't think we're going to see Umar engage much. I think, I don't think Cory's going to come out swinging like that, right? He knows that Umar's dangerous, and the name factor probably will be a bit of a factor there too. I just don't think that Umar is going to engage for a long period of time with Cory when it comes to the striking battle. I just really, really don't see that. And then we go into exactly what you said. I think we will see a decent amount of control time from Nurmagomedov, and I just think that's exactly what you said. The judges are simply going to favor that a lot more heavily than they would here in the United States. And even if he doesn't do a ton of damage, and I still think Cory will be throwing up submissions from bottom and doing things like this too, I just don't see a world where Umar gets caught in a submission or a triangle or something. I just simply don't see that. I think it could be kind of a boring fight. As exciting as both of these guys are, it's interesting, right? Because they're both really good strikers, but Cory Sandhagen is the better striker. They're both really good grapplers, but obviously Umar's the better grappler. So, I just think that the conditions are ripe. And I just want to say, dude, what kind of path to a top contender is this, right? Sergey Morozov, Brian Kelleher, Nate Maness, Raoni Barcelos, and then somebody named Begsat Almakhan. And now here's Cory Sandhagen for a title eliminator. It's some fucking bullshit, to be quite honest with you. And we see it a lot, but it is what it is. But I'm going to pick Umar by decision. Yeah,
so a couple things to add on to that, Dino. As far as the road to the title for Umar Nurmagomedov is concerned, it fits right in with Khabib's run to the title, Islam's run to the title. That's just what it is, man. That's the road these guys are going to take, and the UFC is going to allow them to do it. Obviously, with them being in Abu Dhabi and now Saudi Arabia, in bed with the UFC, that's just what it is. These guys are going to get those kind of roads to the title fight. One thing I did want to break down, the Begsat Almakhan fight, we saw Begsat give him a lot of trouble to Umar, man. He dropped him early in that fight. He had him in all sorts of trouble. So, part of me wants to say, if somebody like that is doing it to you, and he's a good fighter, man, he's a lot better than most people give him credit for. But if he's doing that to you, Cory Sandhagen should be able to piece him up. So it is a confusing fight.
I would love to see there's nothing I would love to see more on this card than to see Cory Sandhagen knock out Umar Nurmagomedov, to be honest with you.
That would be wild. And then another thing I did want to throw in, actually 2 more quick things. Umar, with Khabib in his corner, I know a lot of people are just going to be like, that doesn't matter. Your corner can't help you. But, man, these guys, Khabib is like a father to them almost, right? I know they're related, but the respect that these guys treat Khabib with and, the respect and honor that they have for him, they won't tap with him there. They're going to, fight their absolute hardest. So this is going to be a Umar Nurmagomedov that is 1,000% dialed in. So, it is what it is, man. It could be a fun fight. It could be a boring fight. I'm excited to see it. What I will tell you, though, is obviously foreshadowing a little bit. I would love for Merab to beat Sean O'Malley. But if Sean O'Malley does win that fight, there's not a more exciting fight at 135 than you can make than Sean O'Malley versus Cory Sandhagen. That's an absolute fucking banger that, it's looking like we might get robbed of. So hopefully, we get that fight at some point, somewhere. If it's for a belt, it is. If not, then not. But yeah, fun card, man. Overall, a fun card. A themed card. We don't love those, but it is what it is. It's a damn good free card. And it's early in the morning on Saturday for us Americans. So guys, wake up, make sure, you got your alarm set up. I think it starts at like 11 or something. So you don't necessarily need alarms, but just keep an eye out on the local listings and, whatever, all that shit.
Period, Pooh.
Yeah. Anything else, DS?
No, that's all we got.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, do us a favor. Do like the thing at the bottom that's been scrolling this whole time says, and like and subscribe. Also comment below. Let's talk about whatever. I'm down to get into it with you if you want to do that. So just do that. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Like the thing at the bottom says at the 107 MMA. If you want to argue, we will argue with you there as well. Guys, that right there, it's that side. That right there is DS. My name is Dino Bam Bam. We are the 107 MMA. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.